Welcome to next video of behavioral challenges in software testing. As a tester, are you suffering with gaslighting behavior of other stakeholders while you are aiming for quality? Let's learn what does it mean by gaslighting behavior and how it impacts testing outcomes. What is gaslighting in software testing? Gaslighting in software testing involves tactics where other stakeholders' actions results in making testers question their own skills, understanding, or findings. It can occur when stakeholders, developers, managers, or even peers dismiss, undermine, or manipulate a tester's observations for personal, political, or organizational reasons. This behavior can lead testers to doubt themselves, damaging confidence and creating an environment of uncertainty. Let's look at common signs of gaslighting in software testing, with real-life examples and tips on handling it effectively. How to deal with gaslighting in software testing. 1. Trust your gut. Prioritize facts over manipulation. Ever felt the ground shift under you as someone tries to twist the facts? Gaslighting in the software industry often comes as subtle suggestions that you misunderstood something or didn't interpret data correctly. This can leave you doubting your judgment, but in software testing, facts don't lie. Relying on data, test cases, and bug reports empowers you to hold your ground and defend the integrity of your findings. Don't let your reputation be compromised by second-guessing yourself. Let's see the structured strategy to deal this. It's nothing but prioritizing facts over manipulation. Let's see some real-time examples. Consider, you report a serious performance issue after analyzing metrics from a load testing tool, highlighting that under heavy usage, response times degrade significantly. To this, developer response is, "You're overreacting. The performance benchmarks don't account for edge cases." Did you notice? Suddenly, your judgment is called into question. Let's see few more examples. Defect severity dismissed. You identify a high-severity defect during regression testing that impacts user data accuracy. Sometimes you might have experienced that developer response, "This is rare and unlikely to affect many users." Let's log it as low priority. In this case, you should trust your analysis, look into the eyes of developer and say, "This bug could impact data integrity, which users rely on. Let's treat it as a priority." Another example we always see on is performance issue debate. During load testing, you observe a significant slowdown with just a few hundred concurrent users. The project manager argues, "Our user base isn't that high. Are you sure this is relevant?" Stick to the facts. Our metrics show a visible performance drop with minimal load, indicating a potential bottleneck. Another example, which is one of the most commonly observed, and is ambiguity in requirements. You're raising a clarification on a vague functional requirement, but the product owner says, "It's self-explanatory, just go with it." Remind them, clarifying now avoids misinterpretations later. Let's ensure our test cases match what's intended for release. How to handle it? Stop letting others control the narrative. Stick to the evidence. Our load testing logs clearly demonstrate a drop in response time when concurrent users increase. Let's review this together to ensure we are meeting performance standards. By keeping your cool and focusing on proof, you reinforce that data-driven results are not up for subjective interpretation. 2. Use assertive phrases. Stand firm in your experience. Don't let someone question your expertise or undermine your knowledge. In testing, stakeholders may doubt your findings or challenge your conclusions. 2. Use assertive phrases. Stand firm in your experience. As we discussed earlier, don't let someone question your expertise or undermine your knowledge. In testing, Stakeholders may doubt your findings or challenge your conclusions. When a colleague tries to make you second-guess your expertise, respond with assertive phrases that protect your credibility. The key is to stand strong, avoid getting defensive, and reclaim your authority. By doing this, you reinforce that your insights are based on concrete experience, ensuring others take you seriously. Hence, the structured strategy is: stand firm in your experience. Let's see a related real-time example. A product manager dismisses a bug report, saying, "I don't recall this issue in previous sprints." Are you sure it's not a misconfiguration on your end? Suddenly, you're on the defensive. Let's see few more examples. Bug report disregarded. You log a critical defect during UAT, but the product owner says, "I haven't seen this issue. Are you sure?" Stand firm with, "Yes, I'm confident in our test results." This needs attention to meet our quality standards. Let's check few more examples. Questioning automation results. You run an automation suite that flags multiple errors, but a stakeholder comments, "Automation is always too sensitive." How accurate are these errors? Respond assertively. Our scripts are aligned with the acceptance criteria and reliably indicate issues. Let's verify the flagged areas before finalizing. One more example. When test scope challenged, you propose adding additional boundary tests for a feature, but a team lead questions, "Are you overcomplicating the test scope?" Reclaim your expertise. In my experience, boundary testing reveals critical issues we might overlook otherwise. It's essential for robust coverage. Let's see how to handle it. Cut the argument short with a calm and assertive response. "We may recall it differently, but I'm confident this issue wasn't addressed in the last build. Let's review the recent changes together to ensure alignment." This approach maintains your professional tone and validates your insights without escalating the situation. 3. Shift focus to future. Move beyond the blame game. Getting trapped in the blame game stalls projects and affects morale. Gaslighters often drag you into the past, blaming you for issues beyond your control. The solution? Stop them in their tracks by moving the conversation forward. Real-time example of blame game. After a critical bug escapes into production, your test manager points at you and says, "This was your responsibility to catch." What went wrong? Few more examples. Let's see example of scenario where we see missed test coverage blame. After a defect is found in production, your manager says, "This should have been caught during your testing." Shift the focus by saying, "Let's refine our test coverage and add this to the checklist for similar future releases." Another example of scenario where we suffer with team capacity constraints. A release is delayed and your project lead comments, "Testing has been taking too long." Refocus the conversation. With more resources or earlier access to stable builds, we could expedite this. Let's plan for these in the next sprint.
Here is another example which talks about changing requirements' impact on testing. Mid-sprint, a requirement change causes a delay, and the blame starts to shift toward QA. I am sure many of us suffer with quiet frequently. In this case, take a stand and say, with better communication on changing requirements, we can adjust our test cases sooner and ensure timely delivery. How to handle these blame game situations? Let's use below strategy of shifting focus to future. And here is how to do that. Follow below steps. Don't let blame bring you down. Respond with a solutions-focused approach. Pointing fingers won't fix the issue. Let's examine our testing coverage and prioritize improving the pipeline moving forward. Make it clear that this shifts focus to solutions, demonstrating that you're a proactive team player, who can lead under pressure. Let's explore a few additional gaslighting scenarios in software testing. Gaslighting isn't always obvious. It can be as subtle as downplaying a bug or implying that testing timelines were the reason for project delays. These scenarios are designed to undermine your credibility. By staying focused on facts and collaboration, you can protect both your integrity and the project's success. Now let's learn about structured strategy of minimizing bugs to avoid accountability. Here is one of the real-time example. Consider a situation where you have reported a bug and team member says, "The bug isn't that serious, let's push it to the next release." Did you notice that they are trying to downplay the issue, leaving you wondering if you're overreacting? Such scenarios list is endless. Let me give few more examples for your reference. Here is first example of priority level dispute. Sometimes we observe that a low-severity bug is repeatedly postponed, even though it impacts usability. A team member says, "It's not affecting the main workflow, it can wait." Do you notice that this is one of the kind of gaslighting? Now how to handle it? Stay firm and insist, this impacts user experience in specific cases. Let's address it now to prevent future complaints. Let's see another category falling under gaslighting, which is user interface glitch dismissed. You identify an interface alignment issue that affects readability, but a developer says, "Nobody's going to notice that." I am sure that you have noticed that this is one of the kind of gaslighting. How would you handle? Just by reinforcing your stance, it detracts from the user experience and may reflect poorly on the brand. Let's ensure it's polished before launch. Here is another example, which is related to database latency issue. You have observed and reported delays in database response times under load, but the tech lead says, "It's minor. We don't need to worry." Take a moment and emphasize, even minor delays can cascade during peak usage. Let's fix it now to prevent compounded issues later. How to handle deprioritization of trivial issues by other stakeholders. Stick to your guns. Our test results indicate this could negatively impact user experience, especially in high-traffic periods. I recommend addressing it in this release to avoid potential complaints. Your commitment to the user experience will help the team prioritize correctly, saving both the project and your reputation from costly oversights. Structured strategy to handle missed deadlines. Apply principle of shifting blame for missed deadlines. Let's understand better by real-time example. There are delays on project plan and somehow your manager claims, "We are behind schedule because too much time was spent on non-critical tests." Did you understand the implication of this statement? It suddenly becomes testing team's fault that priorities weren't aligned. Let's see few more examples. You might have experienced in your project where there are delays due to unforeseen integration delays. The test timeline extended due to delays from a third-party integration, and your manager remarks, "We could have stayed on schedule if QA had tested faster." Here is the catch, where blame of unforeseen integration delays are shifted to QA team. How would you deal with this? Try to shift the narrative. If integration readiness is coordinated, we can plan for timely testing. Let's address this for future sprints. Let's see few more examples. You might have experienced in your project with inadequate environment setup. The test environment wasn't fully set up, impacting your testing schedule, and the project manager says, "QA should have flagged this sooner." Stay calm and respond with, "Let's coordinate better on environment needs to avoid such delays next time." Similar to this, there are scenarios of late requirement changes. Mid-sprint requirement adjustments caused test case rework, and the product owner comments, "This could have been caught if QA was more agile." Take a firm stand and redirect with, "Frequent requirement changes impact test planning. Let's enhance our communication for smoother iterations." How to handle it. Pressure of shifting blame to QA teams. Here is the key, don't buckle under pressure. Respond confidently. Our testing plan was aligned with the project's risk priorities. If adjustments are needed, let's discuss that together. This response places the emphasis back on planning and ensures that future expectations are clearly defined. Hence, here is the conclusion: addressing gaslighting in software testing projects. Gaslighting poses a significant risk in software testing. It can derail collaboration and harm the project's success. It's easy to fall into the trap if you're not prepared, especially when faced with subtle attempts to undermine your role. Don't be a victim of manipulation. By trusting your instincts, using assertive language, and focusing on solutions, you'll diffuse toxic behaviors that can undermine your contributions. In addition to this, employ below strategies. Let's see one by one. First one is by trusting your instincts, using assertive language, and focusing on solutions, you'll diffuse toxic behaviors that can undermine your contributions. Next, protect yourself by fostering an environment built on facts, collaboration, and transparency. Further to that, lead your team through challenging situations by staying resilient and focused. Few more real-time examples of gaslighting employed in software testing. Gaslighting in software testing can manifest as minimizing test results, shifting blame, or even misrepresenting discussions or decisions from earlier meetings. Few more examples. Overriding testing concerns. A developer insists that an intermittent bug is negligible, but your instinct tells you otherwise. Stick to facts and state, intermittent issues often surface as major defects under different conditions. Let's address this to avoid user impact. Ignoring negative feedback loops. You observe a pattern where certain feature releases frequently encounter defects, but a project lead brushes it off as normal. Say, repeated issues in this feature indicate underlying gaps. Let's improve our pre-release checks to enhance quality. One more real-time example as follows. Downplaying regression issues. You catch multiple UI regressions in a new build, but a team member says it's expected with new features. Firmly remind them, consistent UI is critical. Let's ensure these are fixed to maintain the product's quality standard. How to handle it? Always trust your gut, speak up confidently, and keep the focus on future improvements rather than past mistakes. This strategy ensures that gaslighting never derails your testing projects, and that you always stay in control. Here are few statements which are gaslighting symptoms you should identify. Gaslighting statements continued, which you might be hearing on daily basis.